Hey, it's Mike with Riding in the Ozarks, and today we're going to talk about if Harley Davidson is in financial trouble. I have 7 things you need to know, and a couple of them nobody else is talking about. Life's been real busy here. I just picked up a 2024 Harley Davidson Street Glide, and so I've been making a lot of content on that and stuff. I did not get to make a financial report video on Q2 of 2023 for Harley Davidson's financials, but we're going to talk about those results, the Q3 results that just came out, the year-to-date results, because sometimes a bad quarter can kind of skew your perspective on things. Year-to-date gives you a lot better long-term perspective on how things are actually going. And we're going to talk about some things that, well, quite honestly, I think the press is skipping over because drama sells. That's the results. Drama sells, bad news sells. So there's some things they're not mentioning that I think are important to share to get a real objective perspective on this. Now, I've done these videos in the past, and recently I had some guy saying I was arrogant and full of shit. I'm giving you numbers from Harley Davidson slides. I'll put those slides on the screen. Those are their numbers. I didn't make these up. This is from their report. I am giving you my perspective on these numbers and what I think is important or what they may indicate. That makes me full of shit, then I guess so. So let's get into number 1, revenue. Revenue is down. So we're going to look at the Q2 numbers, the Q3 numbers, and year-to-date to see how they compare and just how bad they are. For anybody that's not seen these videos before, HDMC is the motorcycle parts and accessories part of Harley Davidson. There's HDFS, which is the financial arm, and then there is Livewire. Those are the 3 business lines they report on. HDMC revenue is up 13% in Q2, but down 32% in Q3. And year over year, they're down 9%. Now, HDFS revenue was up 10% in Q2 and 10% in Q3, with a total of 11% year over year. Now, this will be no shocker. Livewire was down 8% in Q2, down 41% in Q3, down 30% year over year. Now, the total across all those business lines for Q2 is up 12%, down 26% for Q3, down 6% year to date. Now, 6% down versus 26% is a pretty big deal, and that's why looking at year to date numbers is important. 2, HDFS Income. Q2 was up 7% with $125 million. Year to date, up 14%, $202 million. Now, if you do the math, you'll see that HDFS represents about 18% of the total revenue for the company. So that is a considerable amount, but it still has to do a lot of work in the profitable area to make up for the losses on the HDMC side when an event like this happens and we have a bad quarter. That's why revenue was only down 6%, even though HDMC was down 9% year to date. HDFS was able to make up some of that loss. 3, motorcycle retail sales. So we're going to look at motorcycle retail sales. And sales is what everybody's talking about because the numbers are down. But what they're not talking about is market share. And we're going to talk about that and why that is important right now. Q2 retail sales in North America was down 1% and down 3% worldwide. Q3 retail sales in North America was down 10% and down 13% worldwide. And year to date in North America, we're down 2%. We're down 5% worldwide. Now, what I don't see anybody talking about is market share. Now, when we talk about market share for Harley Davidson, we're talking about 600 cc's up. They only compare themselves to other retailers in the 600 cc up category. So we're talking about large displacement motorcycles. In North America, Harley Davidson had 73% of the touring market share for Q2. That number stayed at 73% in Q3. And you guessed it, year to date, 75% of the market share. What people aren't mentioning is that is up 5% from a year ago. In 2023, at third quarter, they only represented 70% of the large touring motorcycle displacement market for retail sales. Here's some more good news that nobody's mentioning. Q2, large cruisers were 72% of the market share. Q3, we're up 75% of the market sales. Year to date, large cruisers is 76% of the market share. Now, last year, Q3, year to date, we were 77% of the large cruisers. So we lost just a hair, but not much. The touring models have really taken off this year with the new design, and that's why they've gotten such an increase in the market share. That's important because although sales are down, sales are not as down for Harley Davidson as they are for their competitors. They're actually gaining market share on their competitors. So why are sales down? Well, Harley Davidson believes a lot of it has to do with the political climate here in the United States. It's an election year where I personally think a lot of people are not spending money. I see a lot of businesses not spending money. People are waiting to see what happens with the election. I think the economy and the inflation from the last few years is catching up with a lot of people. I think that is also hurting sales. 4, Livewire. While there are some positive things to say about Livewire, it is still down 30% in revenue for 2024 year to date. So what positive things can we say about Livewire? Well, apparently the S2 Del Mar electric model was named the best electric motorcycle of 2024 by MCN. They're releasing a new product at EICMA in November, and they expect substantial operating savings from reducing manufacturing costs in 2025. I'm sure that's a result of them moving out of California to Milwaukee and synergies they're going to create there by having that all under one roof and not paying some of the exorbitant costs associated with being in California. Let's be honest. I guess the other positive thing about Livewire is unit sales. But I have a hard time with this because I see people quoting percentages that they read in an article, but they don't realize how those numbers actually look. Percentages can be very deceiving. For example, saying that sales is up 98% for Q3 of 2024, which actually represents an increase from 50 to 99 units. We sold 49 more bikes, but sales is up 98%. That's not the same as if you sold 100,000 bikes and then sales was up 98% and you sold 198,000 bikes. The fact these sales numbers are still not high enough by unit sales to cover their costs. We're still losing money on Livewire. 2024 year-to-date sales up 146%. Sounds great, right? Guess what the numbers are? 146 units year-to-date in 2023 and 374 units year-to-date in 2024. I'm sorry, 225 units does not get me excited. Maybe it's because I don't have much faith in electric being our future anytime soon, but the fact that we've sold 374 motorcycles in 9 months that are electric motorcycles does not impress me. It does not seem like a positive thing to me. It is an indication to me that electric is not our future still. I know where I live, there is no infrastructure for it. I know California's talking about proposing motorcycle sales quotas for electric motorcycles and stuff. I consider California to be almost another country on its own. It's a unique environment compared to the rest of rural America, especially. There is no infrastructure for electricity-driven automobiles and motorcycles in the majority of the Midwest. Number 5, consumer profile. So Harley Davidson talked in the Q2 results about how the consumer profile had aged from 44 average years age to 45. Yes, the average Harley Davidson customer is 45, not 55, not 65. The other thing they talked about the consumer profile is the average Harley Davidson consumer now also has more income. So what you're telling me is you have to make more money to be able to afford a Harley Davidson, and you're going to have to wait another year on average in your life before you're going to be in that financial situation to be able to afford a Harley Davidson. And what we're not talking about is the number of consumers. The fact is, the number of Harley Davidson consumers is drastically reduced from where it was 10 years ago. I pulled some historical information on motorcycle sales from Harley Davidson's financial reports. Let me just read you these numbers real quick to give you an idea how sales has declined over time. 2015, they sold 266,000 units. 2016, 260,000 units. 2017, 243,000 units. 2018, 288,000 units. 2019, 218,000 units. That's down 48,000 units since 2015. Now, Jochen Zeitz took over in 2020, and 2020 was a pandemic year. The plant was shut down. A lot of the country was shut down, so the sales number that year is off a little bit. 2020 was 145,000 units. 2021 was 188,000 units. 2022 was 193,000 units. 2023, 180,000 units. Now the outlook for 2024 started off good in quarter one, but sales have been down in Q2 and Q3, so I expect it to be lower. But we don't have year-to-date numbers for the end of the year yet. Obviously, we're not at the end of the year. We'll have to see how that turns out, but I expect they're going to be down this year again based on the economy. I think Livewire's forecast for the end of the year has been changed to 600 to 1,000 units, with 374 units sold at the end of Q3. And the way the economy is, I don't see them selling another 325 units, but maybe this new product will change everything and we'll see. For those of you who haven't read, Fuel Motorcycles by Eric Buell, the electric motorcycle he was working to build and create, they just filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I don't believe that electric motorcycles are going to become mainstream anytime soon. I think all this sales data and what we're seeing happening just proves that point. Okay, number 7, dealerships closing. So it was talked about in the Q2 report that they were going to close more dealerships in an effort to strengthen the dealership network. Now, from a consumer standpoint, I feel like that gives me less opportunities to go shop or buy because there's less dealerships available. Several years ago, they closed the dealership that was closest to me. It was about 50 miles. I could be there in less than an hour. Now the nearest dealership is 85 miles, and it's not right down the interstate. I have to take back roads to get there for at least a fair portion of the drive, and it takes me almost an hour and a half to get there. The next closest dealership, Renegade, that I've been working with, where I bought my 2024 Street Glide, is about 120 miles from my house. But because it's all interstate, I can get there in about an hour and a half. So the drive time is not much difference, even though the distance is greater. I don't like the idea of them closing dealerships, but I have seen articles about dealerships suddenly closing. In fact, 3 dealerships or 4 dealerships have closed since I heard them talk about this in the Q2 report. Most of those announced in advance, but Taboo is in the news right now because they basically just went on Facebook and said, we're closed. Reach out to someone at this phone number to see about picking up your bike if you have a bike in our service department area. I mean, just boom, like that. No advance notice, closed. People's bikes are locked up in shops. They got to figure out how to get them out of there. What if they're not put together? What if they're apart? What if they were in the middle of being serviced or warranty work on the engine or something like that? I don't know what HDMC is doing about that situation. I would think and I would hope that they would be doing something especially if there's customer bikes in there that are under warranty, that were being worked on under warranty. I hope HDMC is able to reach out and help folks who are stuck in that situation, just because this reflects poorly on Harley Davidson when something like this happens. And if by strengthening the dealership network, they're talking about getting rid of dealers that are on the edge of closing financially, shutting down like this, like Taboo did, then I think maybe that makes sense. It's a hard thing to swallow. I hate to see businesses close. I want everybody to succeed. But if they have dealerships that are on the edge of being broke, being bankrupt, I can see why it makes sense to weed those out and help strengthen other dealerships so that they are financially stable. All right, guys, I hope you like this video. That's 7 things you need to know about Harley Davidson's finances based on their latest business update, Q3 of 2024. Now, get out and get on a new 2024 motorcycle. They are amazing. If you're interested in the 2024 models, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing reviews. I'm going to be talking about what I like or don't like on this bike. I'm going to be doing mods. We got lots of 2024 Harley Davidson content coming. Y'all stay safe, keep on riding, and we'll see you in the next one.